You can kind of take your seats or find your place for the event.
Ready? Wow, those are bright lights. So, who controls the volume? Good afternoon. I am Scott Brockman. I'm President and CEO of the Memphis Shelby County Airport Authority. And on behalf of the entire Airport Authority team, it's my honor to welcome you to the grand opening of the new, highly acclaimed centralized de-ice facility here at Memphis International Airport. Memphis has long been known as America's distribution center, and we proudly accepted our role as America's aerotropolis. And we embrace our role as a major driver of local, regional, state, and national economic impact. I would be remiss if I didn't open by thanking the Airport Authority Board of Directors, this visionary group of 7 volunteers invested the time, it's the sound of revenue, invested the time to truly understand the magnitude and the importance of this project to not just Memphis, but to the national aviation system as a whole. Thank you for your efforts and your steadfast support of all that we do. We have a fabulous board. Today is a culmination of about 10 years of planning, stress, resilience, partnership, and most importantly, collaboration. The authority team and our board of directors never lost focus, and our invaluable partnership with the FAA and our airlines allowed us to proceed. I can't possibly name every individual or company that played a role in this program. If you were involved in any way, large or small, please accept our sincere appreciation for sharing this journey with us. Obviously, a project of this size, of this magnitude, of this importance does not occur without significant investment by the U.S. Department of Transportation and the Federal Aviation Administration. If you watch the slideshow, or if you receive the project fact sheet, you will see the significant investment of Airport Improvement Program funds in this project. 54% of the $309 million cost, or approximately $166 million, was provided via FAA Airport Improvement Program grants. The AIP program under the Airport and Airways Trust Fund is funded by revenue generated from aviation excise taxes. While approximately half of the AIP grants on this project, or $80 million, came from the airport's designation of its AIP entitlement funds to this project, it took the vision of the FAA's Office of Airports and a belief in the value of this project to bring it to fruition. That belief is as evident through the $86 million of investment of discretionary grants. For that collaboration, for that partnership, we sincerely thank you. It is now my pleasure to introduce the chairman of the board, that dedicated and visionary board, Mr. Mike Keeney.
Well, good afternoon. On behalf of the Board of Commissioners of the Airport Authority, I want to welcome and thank you all for attending. What a great day for the airport and for Memphis, and also for our national aviation system. Obviously, the importance of this project is clearly evident. It's not every day that we have the Secretary of Transportation here, and we appreciate Secretary Buttigieg being here. We appreciate Associate Administrator Griffin being here, and obviously our local dignitaries, Congressman Cohen, who has always been such a great supporter of the airport, and Mayor Jim Strickland, who has always been supportive as well. So we appreciate all other dignitaries that are here today. This new facility will benefit all commercial users here at the airport. As you all know, MEM is the busiest airport in the world between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. This is the largest cargo airport in North America. But in addition to that, passenger carriers will also benefit from this facility, as they will have the ability to serve passengers with a more reliable flight completion rate during winter ops. Obviously, that's always a challenging time for the airport. But projects of this magnitude do not happen by chance. They come about through the strength of partnerships. The Airport Authority Board applauds our excellent staff and their efforts to bring this project to a successful conclusion. We applaud our airline partners who put their faith in us and allowed us to bring this project's benefits to them. We applaud the many companies involved in this project, and we appreciate everybody's time and efforts to make this a reality. We've been excited about this project for a long time, and we're glad to be at this point. So we really are a sincere appreciation and thank you to everyone involved. Now, it's my distinct pleasure to introduce to you Bradley Mims. Deputy Administrator Bradley Mims assumed his current position as the Federal Aviation Administration Deputy Administrator in February of 2021. And reading through his biography, he is very familiar with airports. He's been around airports his entire career. And the time that I've got to spend with him today, he is very, very knowledgeable and embarrassed me a few times on what I probably was supposed to know. And we appreciate him being here, and we appreciate the efforts that the FAA has in this project. And with that, I introduce Bradley Mims.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And good afternoon, Memphis. It's good to see all of you here today, Congressman, Mr. Mayor, my secretary, and dignitaries from the board of directors as we go forward. Let me just start out by recognizing our FAA colleagues, my FAA colleagues. Would you all raise your hands, please? Thank these guys for all of the work that they've done. And I want to do a special shout out to my colleague, Shanetta Griffin, who is the Associate Administrator for Airports. She's the one with that big checkbook that we really appreciate. And as all of you know, the FAA is in the safety business, but we are also in the innovation business because constant innovation both compels and enables new safety approaches. And we have to pursue our mission with an inventive spirit, and find new sustainable ways to accomplish our goal. These new de-icing pads do exactly that. For example, their location near the runway allows more efficient movement of aircraft, and again, this translates into reduction in de-icing delays. And I will tell you, I was here 20 years ago with a congressional CODEL. It took us an hour and a half to get our aircraft de-iced, and that was very, very frustrating. So I truly appreciate seeing this facility come to fruition. Now, for technologies like message boards and infrared cameras now guide planes into de-icing bays, and these improvements reduce the need for verbal instructions to pilots, which can minimize the chance of miscommunication. Environmental protection is also improved. The new system better prevents untreated de-icing chemicals from draining into local water supplies. These are outstanding improvements, and I'm proud that the FAA can be part of these efforts. That includes investing into projects like this one through our many airport grants to create good-paying jobs and opportunities, and that's a key component of this administration's strategy as we move forward for businesses that haven't had the opportunity to do work in aviation in the past. And while I'm on the thought, I want to acknowledge my friends from OBAP and the Luke Weathers Junior Flight Academy who are here with us today, and led by, and who just got kicked off by Commissioner Albert Glenn. So give these guys a hand. Just raise your hands from OBAP. This professional pilot program provides the training and resources you need to go from zero experience to an airline pilot within 2 to 3 years. And again, I couldn't be prouder to have them here today. So thank you especially Commissioner Glenn and the Memphis Shelby County Airport Authority for all of the things you do to support the Academy. And again, for those efforts to drive and guide the training for the next generation of pilots. Now, of course, none of these improvements would have been possible without the work of all of the people who planned and built this new facility. The people of Memphis and the many visitors passing through the airport are all better off because of you. Today, it's obvious that that exciting things are happening here at Memphis International, and congratulations to you all, and thank you for all of your important work. Thank you so much. Mayor Strickland, come to the podium. There's no introduction for this great man. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. It's great to be here today. I particularly want to thank Secretary Buttigieg for being here. And as a person who was born in South Bend, Indiana, I want to welcome, I still call him Mayor Pete, but Secretary Pete, so welcome to Memphis. And obviously Congressman Cohen, who's such a mighty force for Memphis in Washington. Thank you for the investment in Memphis. Memphis, largely thanks to FedEx, is the country's busiest cargo hub. and I say the world's best. In fact, all the folks who work at FedEx, would you raise your hand? And this facility keeps us best of class in the country. Getting as many planes in the air efficiently and safely as possible is vital to keeping our local and the global economy moving. All right, I had to ask the question because I'm not as well versed in airport stuff as these folks behind me. But I thought, why do we need a de-icing? It doesn't ice that much. But what I found out, and I probably am the only one in this room who didn't know this, but I'm still going to say it. Aircraft, even with the slightest amount of moisture, will collect frost and ice on their surfaces, and that has to be removed in order for them to fly safely. So I understand the importance of it. So all these aircraft, cargo and passenger airlines, will get de-iced here quicker, more efficiently, and I learned actually today that it's better for the environment, this facility, than the old way that we would do it. So thank you to all who made this possible, the federal government, the Biden administration, Congressman Cohen. I also want to note that Senator Blackburn and Senator Hagerty have representatives here, so thank you very much for your support of this airport. Thank you to FedEx, because nothing at our airport happens without your input and guidance. And thank you for all you do in this city. And thank you to the airport officials whose leadership has guided us all through this process. Thank you. And I'm very honored now to introduce, I called him, I think earlier, a champion for Memphis. He has been a champion for Memphis for, I don't know, 30 or 40 years, going back from his days in our state government in Nashville and representing us in Washington, D.C., and he does an incredible, fantastic job. Congressman Steve Cohen.
Thank you very much. To Secretary Buttigieg, welcome back to Memphis. You were here when the bridge had problems, and we appreciated your coming to visit us during those times and see the importance of that bridge. To all the officials from the FAA, we appreciate you, what you've done for Memphis and what you're going to do for Memphis. To all the airport officials and everybody here. First, I want to kind of get off message, and I want to address these young people out here in the Luke Weathers School. I don't know if y'all are aware of Luke Weathers totally, but Luke Weathers Jr. was a air traffic controller. He was the first African-American air traffic controller in the city of Memphis, Memphis FAA. He was also a Tuskegee Airman and was a great individual who was buried at Arlington Cemetery and was buried with full military honors. There's a plaque in the Terminal A, honoring Luke Weathers. We just passed a bill in the House to name the Veterans Hospital for Luke Weathers. We believe with the help of the Senate, and I see Senator Hagerty and Senator Blackburn's representatives are here, and I think they've signed on to the bill, we will have that honor for Luke Weathers, a great Memphian who deserves to be recognized. This de-icing facility is so important because it keeps FedEx airplanes flying constantly. It's one of the reasons Fred Smith decided to locate in Memphis, because we were in the center of the nation, and it was a perfect place to serve the nation and the world. By de-icing, we have more opportunities to be on time and to get things done. The supply chain has been hurt during this pandemic, and it's been hurt particularly because of China's problems with the pandemic. So with airplanes being able to fly out of Memphis, be de-iced and ready to go, it cuts the supply chain problems down. We have an opportunity in Memphis to connect the world. We do it with our highways and our bridge across the river and with FedEx. FedEx is our most important commercial enterprise. When you hear those airplanes roaring, that's the sound of commerce and the sound of money, the sound of people having jobs and having good opportunity. So Secretary Buttigieg, we appreciate your being here and you're helping us in keeping our airport in first-class condition. It's one of the greatest cargo airports in the world, and keeping FedEx flying and reducing that supply chain problem. The Congress also passed a CHIPS Act, which is going to cut down on that supply chain problem too. So we're proud to have done that. Nobody more important to Memphis in the cabinet than Secretary Buttigieg. We are a transportation city. We welcome you here. We hope you'll come back many times, and we hope you'll enjoy your visit. Secretary Pete Buttigieg.
Well, thank you very much, first of all, to Congressman Cohen, who I'm sure you already know is a relentless advocate for this region. I do mean relentless, and would expect nothing less, but also is one of the reasons why we are able to talk about more funding headed to the roads and bridges and airports and transit systems of Memphis, of Tennessee, of Arkansas, of the entire United States of America. There is a direct line of cause and effect between the legislation that he supported, President Biden's vision for a generational investment in our country's infrastructure, and the work that is taking place now in every part of the United States. And so we are thankful for that support and that attention to the importance of our transportation infrastructure. We really appreciate it, Congressman. Thanks very much. It is a pleasure to be here with Mayor Strickland, son of South Bend. We will always claim you. And somebody who is doing the work of mayor that is so important and has only become even more demanding since I had the honor of wearing that title in my hometown. I'm pleased to be here with Deputy Administrator Brad Mims, with Shanetta Griffin, and so many colleagues from the FAA, the thousands of men and women of the FAA who make it possible for millions of passengers and millions of packages to get to where they need to be safely every single day. And I'm so pleased to be with CEO Scott Brockman, with Chairman Mike Keeney, with leaders from FedEx, all of the people who make this facility and this airport what it is. And also so glad to be among the people associated with the Luke Weathers Flight School, the instructors and the students. We had a great visit with OBAP in Arizona during the gathering there, saw the extraordinary work that is taking place to cultivate a new generation of leaders in aviation. And it's never been more important, first of all, to make sure that the sector looks like the country. And secondly, because this is a country that in today's economy cannot afford to leave any talent on the table. And I'm so glad to see the work that's going on there and to partner with you. So thank you for what you do. And congratulations to everybody who has been part of building and delivering this major difference-making investment here in Memphis, because this is a key hub to the entire country and indeed to global logistics. I appreciated the chance I just had to meet with a number of workers, including pilots, truck operators, tower operators, all of the workers here who are not always seen, don't always get credit for their hand in making sure things get to where they're going, especially this season. But it isn't just reindeer. It is essential workers who make sure that people get what they need. And now that everybody in the country has maybe belatedly come to appreciate how important supply chains are, we want to make sure we're supporting you with the right kind of infrastructure, because it is human beings who make supply chains work every day. So thanks for everything that you do. We are now in the thick of the holiday shopping season. I know parents everywhere are ordering the toys that their kids are talking about nonstop, or in the case of our one-year-olds that aren't yet able to articulate what they want, all the things that their parents and their grandparents can't wait to see them wearing and playing with. And of course, across the country every day, businesses are ordering all of the things that they need in order to have a successful season. We saw record-breaking sales Black Friday, and we know across all of that air cargo operations like this, the biggest and busiest in America, are absolutely essential. Now, before we get more into today's good news, I do want to do a quick Ghost of Christmas Past just to remind us of where we were a year ago in the last holiday season. Because Americans then were understandably very concerned about whether they would get the things they needed. Pandemic had stressed our global supply chains. We had about 100 container ships bearing down on the West Coast any given moment. And there were some political and media voices proclaiming breathlessly that Christmas was going to be, quote, canceled last year. But of course, we weren't going to let that happen. Partnering with the private sector, the administration got to work bringing together players from across the supply chain. Longshoremen, truck drivers, state leaders, local governments, and a number of supply chain-oriented businesses, notably including FedEx, who was at the table with us early and often, finding ways to address many of the biggest disruptions. People received almost 99% of their packages on time or with minimal delays from major shippers. Retail sales hit an all-time record high, and so did throughput at our ports. So Christmas last year was very much not canceled. And this year, we are down to single-digit numbers of ships waiting at the ports of LA and Long Beach. Many rates, including some Pacific shipping costs, are down 80%, which should ultimately serve to reduce the prices that Americans are seeing at the store at this moment where we're fighting inflation with everything that we've got, and help people get what they need on time. So I just want to remind us of that arc. But now we're working on further strengthening our supply chains to ensure that goods can move efficiently today and next year and for years to come. So let's be clear, we are going to continue tackling every issue that comes up. But this is no longer just about fixing the immediate term supply chain disruptions that we have seen in the wake of COVID. This is about making sure our supply chains are more resilient and our economy is more competitive in the face of any challenge in the coming decades, including from increasingly extreme weather. And that brings us to the terrific project that we're celebrating today. We are so proud to join you to mark the successful completion of this 3.3 million square foot airport de-icing project at Memphis International Airport, the biggest cargo airport in the country. Congratulations on this terrific work. This is a facility that will be able to de-ice 12 wide-body cargo aircraft at the same time, right before they hit the runway, helping to get toys and food and medicine and so many other things where they need to go quickly and efficiently. And it's also about reducing the cost of shipping those goods, because modernizing our supply chains is a critical element in that fight against inflation. I also want to congratulate the project sponsors here for finding a way to separate the drainage of that de-icing fluid so that it can be used in helping to sanitize the city's wastewater. And as every mayor knows, getting wastewater right is one of the most important things that very few people know and everybody counts on. It's an example of how the environment and taxpayers can benefit at the same time. It is a real state-of-the-art operation, and I know most people aren't maybe the supply chain buffs that so many of us in this room are, but there's a subset of us who find as much to get excited about in Memphis at a great de-icing facility as there is at Graceland. Now, our focus today is goods traveling by air, but I do want to give a quick update on the passenger side as well, because we know that airlines this summer struggled to keep up with the surging demand. Things got better since early summer, with cancellation rates across the busy Thanksgiving holiday week down below 1%. But we're looking to airlines to continue to take steps to address these challenges. And I want passengers to know, if you are flying this holiday season and you're worried about what could happen to you if your flight gets delayed or canceled, you should know that you can go to our airline customer service dashboard to see exactly what every major airline will do when there's a disruption, whether they'll offer free rebooking, hotels, meal vouchers, and the like. You also ought to know that if your flight is significantly changed, the airline, in the event of a major change or a cancellation, is required to give you a full refund if you ask for one. And if you're having trouble getting one, let us know, because to date we have helped passengers recover hundreds of millions of dollars in required refunds. And for the long term, we are also making big investments in airport terminals nationwide. We funded a new terminal in Pittsburgh, new gates in Orlando, more bathrooms in Chattanooga, better escalators in Huntsville, faster security checkpoints, baggage drop-offs, check-in counters, custom areas, and boarding zones in dozens of airports. And I know there's been a lot of terrific work taking place here in Memphis on the passenger side as well, and we know that applications will be coming in, I'm sure, with enthusiastic attention from your member of Congress to look at what that program can do for this community. And it's not just airports either. As we think back to the last time I was here, as the Congressman mentioned, looking at the I-40 DeSoto Bridge and how important that is to this region. With the historic funding that we have, thanks to the Congressman and his allies, including a number of people across the aisle to work with Democrats and work with the President to get this done. We are modernizing the transit buses in Memphis, so workers here and across the region have new options to get to work. We're building new truck parking outside of Nashville so that truck drivers coming to and from this hub can get the safe rest that they need. It's all an example of what building a better America looks like in practice, and that is the President's infrastructure vision brought to life in ways that make everybody's lives better. So again, I want to thank all of the workers who are so instrumental to the economic lifeblood of this nation, whether people realize it or not, who are an indispensable part of the holiday season and every season, and who will now have the benefit of world-class physical infrastructure to help you do your incredibly important jobs. Thank you again. Have a great holiday, and I look forward to seeing more great news out of Memphis. Thank you very much.
Alrighty, folks, for the general public, if you guys would like to stick around for photos with the Secretary, I would ask one simple request here. There are the balloons, the end of the balloons that are closest to me. Can we have the first row file in to start there? I see Jeannie there waving. That would start the queue of our line, and the rest basically queue in front of me and loop around if you don't mind.
So okay. Just like lining up like in front of it. Okay. We'll follow you.
If you guys are like here and set up.
We'll follow you.
Yeah. You can tell me how to. We either have him here and you guys like here.
Yeah. What do you think? Yeah. What do you think, Pat?
I mean, or if it's better, we can get it now.
It's
up here is better, and we'll try and get out of the way of the lights. Okay. Perfect. Yeah, we can probably actually shut the lights off. Oh no, it's better if they're on. Okay.
yeah. Yeah. The light is good.
Good.
Thanks, man.
Greg, give me a quick mic check.
Check, check, check.
also to maintain civil collection.
Brad, do you want to? So basically, I think he is going to be here.
We were obviously independent from the rest person said come up here.
Oh, we did.
Yeah.
Okay. Because he wants to.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're in the holding pattern.
So, what are we looking like? Both out of 5 and a.
Whatever we get out of this.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Maybe I want to like kind of listen to what Buttigieg said. He had some like broader supply chain stuff like for information, but you know, I think that's
What's the address of the sports show?
then it's where it's at Bartlett Boulevard. It's let me pull it up.
Oh, that one, yeah.
Yeah, we've been there.
What? That's my guess. It's a long day for you. That's really rough. It is
156.
yeah.
Almost two.
Almost 156. It's like you already stayed late. Gotta pass it on. I mean, you're gonna have to wake up early to start all over.
Oh well.
We'll see how that goes.
I got a couple videos I think.
Okay, cool. Just email or whatever.
Potentially get like less than 15 seconds.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Often the way it goes, right?
Can you help me move this? Just so you guys have more room. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Right in here, and if you step in
Is he just gonna stand there?
I will be blocking you off. We're at 70.
You look great, Brandon. You look full. Pretty cool. That's stuff. Hey, Secretary, welcome back to Memphis. How are you, sir?
Good to be back.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Nice to see you, buddy. I don't have a toe mark, so I'll just stand here.
So, Secretary, this facility for shoppers out there for the holidays, what will this mean for those getting gifts, receiving gifts? How will this help in Memphis and across the country?
Well, two things. It helps things get to where they need to be on time. And it ultimately helps make shipping more affordable too by cutting down on delays and keeping the overall cost of shipping down. Plus, it supports a lot of good paying jobs in this region and across the country. Look, I know most people when you're seeing a present under the tree, you're not thinking to yourself, oh, I wonder how they de-iced the plane that took this present to where it was going so it could come to my doorstep. But the thing about supply chains is it's all connected from ship to shore to shelf. And this is a big part of it. Plus, it's got environmental benefits and efficiency benefits. So these are the kinds of investments that keep our supply chains moving. And that's why I wanted to help bring some attention to it today.
And FedEx going to the global hub, how important is Memphis in all of these?
Look, this is the busiest air cargo hub in North America, and so it is something of global importance, certainly of great importance to the U.S. economy, and that's why we think federal dollars ought to go into improving airports like Memphis and helping them prepare for the future.
How likely the project was funded by federal dollars, about $80 million of that discretionary, and that was the justification for the federal government stepping in and helping fund this project because of how integral the Memphis airport is to the supply chain, right?
That's right. When we're deciding where discretionary transportation dollars ought to go, we're looking at safety, we're looking at economic strength, we're looking at equitable growth, we're looking at environmental benefit, and we're looking at preparation for the future. All of those things are involved in the investments we're making at airports like this. The safety part is self-evident, that's what de-icing is about, but also huge investments in our economic strength are represented by this programming. And this is, I think, why we had a lot of good support, including some support across the aisle, although not as much as I wish, to do these investments. It's the right thing to do for the economy, it's the right thing to do for workers, it's the right thing to do for customers.
Is that kind of support possible after the Republicans become a majority in the House?
Well, the good news is we got that bill passed and the president signed it. I would like to think that transportation is one of the most bipartisan areas that still remains in domestic policy. But you know, we were able to get this done, I think, for the reason that most Americans expected of us. They're not interested in partisan warfare. They're interested in getting better airports and roads and bridges and trains in transit and the rest of it. That's what the president believed. And remember, a lot of people laughed at the idea that you could get this done on a bipartisan basis. I mean, there was, you know, I can't remember how many times people said that this infrastructure package was dead before we got it passed. You know, the president signed it, and now we're already into year 2 of getting those dollars out on the street.
Let's go to Sam. Are we going to have a rail?
Well, we just can't. There is no substitute for a functioning rail system in this country. That's why the president has called on Congress to enact that tentative agreement that was reached at the table. And the sooner they can do that, the more we can all be confident that things will continue into this holiday season and for the future in a way that's good for the economy and not putting the economy at risk.
How likely do you think Congress is to get that done and actually act in a purpose?
Well, I can't speak for Congress, but what I'm seeing is a very strong level of motivation to get this done. Look, this isn't a Democrat or Republican thing. This is about making sure that our economy avoids what would be the devastating consequences of a shutdown. Nobody got everything they wanted in this tentative agreement, but all of the parties had to move to get there. When it was reached, it earned praise from labor, business, Democratic, and Republican leaders alike. Now we've got to make sure that it gets enacted and that everybody can count on that economic certainty, because without it, from the auto industry to farms across America to everyday life, the consequences would just be unacceptable.
For families out there, how would you compare this holiday season with the supply chain compared to last year? You kind of addressed that.
Yeah, I mean, look at where we were a year ago. There were 100 ships waiting their turn at the ports of LA, Long Beach. Last time I checked, that was below a dozen. So there have been enormous improvements for our supply chains. But we're not letting go. We're not taking it easy. There's more work to do, including longer-term work, which is what facilities like this de-icing ramp and a whole lot of other investments we're making around the country are all about.
Obviously, this is important for cargo, FedEx, having the supply chain, but talk about the importance with commercial flights and passengers that just went through a horrific summer with travel. De-icing can delay flights, some can cancel it. This can help prevent that.
That's right, and there have been a lot of improvements on the passenger side here at Memphis, and again, around the country, we're seeing a lot of work going on, which is an important part of how we support aviation. Look, demand is returning, that's great, but the capacity is having trouble keeping up. So anytime there can be an investment in a better baggage claim system, a bigger terminal, more security checkpoints so that people can flow through more easily, that's good news for every air passenger. I'm really encouraged by the improvement we've seen since all those cancellations in early summer, but there's a lot more work to do, and we're doing that work, putting our money where our mouth is in these investments.
You said modernizing the supply chain is a way to lower inflation and lower
I think it can be. You know, certainly some things here like the system that separates the de-icing fluid and repurposes some of those elements. That's what it means to have both cost-effective and environmentally responsible investments, and that's what I think the future of infrastructure is going to look like.
I know last year we talked when the bridge was down, we talked about maybe a third bridge going over Memphis. Since then, has any discussions changed on that topic?
You know, I'd refer you to the states on that one because they put together those transportation improvement plans for the long run. But what I will say is that we have resources that we didn't have before to address some of these long-term needs for infrastructure. And also glad, of course, to see the improvements that happened in short order there on the DeSoto I-40 bridge.
We got time for one more, folks. Everyone
I want to ask, you know, I'd be remiss, we're a stone's throw away from the Mississippi River experiencing historic lows. That is affecting supply chains in that regard.
Yeah.
This being the fourth largest inland port, if you want to add to that logistical resume, any indication from your office on, while this is great, what the river might be doing to the supply chain during this holiday?
Yeah, it's a real concern. I was just briefed on it again earlier this week because that is something that can really affect supply flows. And again, there's some cargo movements where there's not a very good substitute for that river-going traffic that most people don't think about every day. From what I can tell, there's some modest improvements. Things may be trending, at least in the short run, in an encouraging direction. But this is an issue that we're tracking, and it's a reminder, yet another reminder, of how every part of our transportation system is vulnerable to what's going on in our changing climate. We've got to plan for that and get ahead of that for the century to come.
Thanks, Secretary. Thanks, Secretary.